The beetroot is sweet and earthy, and the vinegary potatoes are crisp and refreshing. The whole dish is punchy and absolutely fabulous. I think you're going to love it. Today we're going to be showing you our fantastic charred beetroot carpaccio. It is incredibly simple and a real celebration of the beetroot. So I'm going to start with my beetroots, and I've just got really clean whole beetroots with their skin on. I find a really good way to do this is to run them under the hot tap, and with your washing up brush just give them a really good scrub. You don't want any soil or anything left on your beetroots, so that's just simply like that. This is perhaps the most simple way of roasting beetroots I've ever encountered, and I'm literally going to take a tray. I've lined it with baking paper just on the bottom. You don't want bits coming over the sides because you're going to roast it really hot and you don't want the flappy bits to burn. And you're not going to believe this, I'm literally going to put them like this. Anyone can do that. No salt, no oil, nothing. I'm going to put them in the oven, about 220 degrees Celsius, as hot as your oven can go. And I'm going to do it for about an hour to an hour and a quarter. I'll check them after about an hour. And what I'm looking for is sort of charred, blistered skins. They're going to lose about 50% of their weight, and they're just going to cook and become intense and sweet and totally delicious. So my beetroots are roasting up nicely in the oven, and I'm going to get on with a very simple garlicky mashed potato dip. So I've got my potatoes here, and I've boiled them and I've peeled them, and I'm just going to make the dressing. So I'm going to, in my pestle and mortar, I've got 3 cloves of garlic. You get a really lovely punchy garlic flavour with this. And to stop them kind of rattling around, I'm going to give a good pinch of salt. And now I'm just going to mash them until I've got a lovely paste. A lovely smooth paste with no lumps. That's perfect. Now I'm going to put in some red wine vinegar, a couple of tablespoons of that, and a generous amount of olive oil, 4 or 5 tablespoons. You're sort of making a dressing for your potatoes. The vinegar and the oil have come together nicely, and I have a lovely dressing that's going to be zingy and crisp for my potatoes. So my potatoes are still warm, and that's quite important for this. Somehow when they're still warm and you put the dressing over them, they kind of take it all in and become even more delicious. So just boil them just before you need them. And I'm just going to roughly mash them with a fork. So I sort of mashed them with my fork, nothing too perfectly smooth. And I do like a waxy variety for this. So now I'm going to just pour in my dressing. And I'm just going to stir that in. I'm going to be as gentle as I can be, because the more you work the potatoes, the more gluey they'll get, and you don't want that. So just gently folding it in, and that's all there is to it. So my beetroots are ready, and they don't look like much. You certainly don't have a sense of the kind of magic you're going to have once you cut into them. But they are exactly how I want them, and I'm just going to let them cool really well, at least another hour, and then I'm going to slice them finely and layer them up with the potatoes, and it's going to be fantastic. Now there is quite a lot of charred skin. I really like that, but if you're not too keen on it, you can kind of crumble it off and not have too much of it. So my beetroots are cooled, and this is where the magic really happens. So with a serrated knife, that works really well, or I'm just going to use my knife. As finely as you can, I'm going to slice into them. Underneath that burnished skin is the most beautifully red and juicy beetroot. It's totally magical. So to assemble this, I'm going to start with my potato on the bottom, and I'm just going to push it down like so. Next, I'm going to layer up my beetroot slices. You can do this however you like. It's quite nice to get a bit of height if you can. So just kind of draping them and placing them and balancing them. I think you'll agree it's already looking pretty exciting and beetroot like I've not seen it before. So I'm going to finish it off with some capers, and I've got some dill here. You could use other soft herbs. Chives would be really nice, or some flowering oregano, whatever you have, maybe even some raw grated horseradish. But today I'm going to do the capers and the dill, and I've even got some edible flowers just to give it even more celebration. What a celebration of beetroot. And that combination of the earthy, sweet beetroot that has almost become more intense as it's cooked in the oven just on its own, with the zingy, crisp, vinegary potatoes and that lovely warmth of garlic. It's truly delightful. I'm just going to have a little taste. It's so delicious. The beetroot is sweet and earthy, and the vinegary potatoes are crisp and refreshing. The whole dish is punchy and absolutely fabulous. I think you're going to love it. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of What on Earth to Eat Now. I do hope that you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you don't want to miss an episode, don't forget to hit that bell icon. And we'll see you again next week for another episode of What on Earth to Eat Now.